And I said, your hand's always broken. You ain't known for your punching power since you moved up from lightweight to welterweight. Why are you so sure you're going to do this?
It's wild, because if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight.
Go off of that, Floyd is the best fighter, in his era. And I feel like I'm the best fighter in my era.
Stephen A. Smith reacted to Floyd Mayweather calling out Terence Crawford by pointing out how today's boxing world often limits certain fighters while exaggerating others. He believes Crawford deserves far more recognition for his skills and accomplishments. Stephen also emphasized that age plays a crucial factor, noting Mayweather is no longer in his prime. In his view, the narrative should center on Crawford's dominance, rather than unnecessary comparisons or hype that take away from his true greatness.
Think about what he had to say about you when he said you're way better than Floyd Money Mayweather. I know you heard that he said that. What thoughts came to your mind when you heard that Canelo Alvarez said that about you?
Hey, that's a big compliment. He's been in the ring with both of us, so he would know, from his own experience. A lot of people, they can say this, they can say that, but there's only, a few people that can say they've been in the ring with Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather and give their own.
Shane Mosley weighed in on the debate, comparing the talents of Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather by pointing out that Crawford is naturally the bigger fighter. He explained that Crawford's size and strength give him an edge Floyd never truly had at welterweight. Still, Mosley acknowledged Mayweather's advantage in razor-sharp technique and unmatched precision. Floyd's mastery of defense and ring IQ helped him conquer bigger men, an obstacle Crawford doesn't face in the same way. Mosley's perspective shows that while Crawford's physical edge matters, Mayweather's greatness was defined by pure skill and adaptability.
Who do you think's better out of those two, Crawford or Mayweather?
I think Crawford is better, bigger. He's actually he moved in weight class, and I would say Crawford is a better fight all around fighter. Mayweather's really good too, though. You can't knock him as well. He's very talented. It would have been a tough fight, but I think Crawford would have had the edge over Mayweather because of the long arms and because he's bigger. You know what I'm saying? And he would have kept him at bay. It would have been hard for Mayweather to counter, maybe. But Mayweather's definitely a technician. I mean, like Crawford said, Mayweather has his era, and Crawford, this is his era.
In an interview with Ariel Helwani, Terence Crawford reminded fans that Canelo Alvarez holds a rare perspective to judge. After all, he shared the ring with both Mayweather and Crawford, so his opinion carries real weight. Crawford noted that those fights came under very different circumstances. Floyd faced Canelo when he was still young and inexperienced, while Crawford fought him as a fully seasoned champion at 168 pounds. Yet despite the size gap, Crawford prevailed, showing his strength and skill against a far bigger man. And for Crawford, Canelo's admission that he felt more power from him only highlights how greatness belongs to different eras.
It was cooking right there, because there was this thought, this prevailing thought that the smaller man always loses to the bigger man. This was repeated time and again throughout the fight week. And he proved that that's not the case. Again, I hope you all recognize this was a 168-pounder fighting a 147-pounder. He had one fight at 154 last August, was the undisputed king at 147, beating Errol Spence in July of 2023, came back the following year, fought Israel Madrimov at the soccer stadium in Los Angeles, and then did everything he could to get this fight, played his cards the right way, and there he was, standing face-to-face against Canelo Alvarez, who did seem for the longest time like he didn't want to take this fight, and because there was great risk involved, because not only is Terence Crawford one of the all-time best fighters in the history of the sport, he's smaller than him, so a lot of people would be like, oh, of course you're going to beat the smaller guy, right? But I think Canelo recognized Yeah, he might be smaller, but he's that damn good.
Trainer Greg Hackett took a different stance, stressing that Floyd Mayweather was a complete fighter when he faced Canelo. In Hackett's view, Floyd's style at that stage was polished, disciplined, and unshakable, something Crawford's wilder, more aggressive approach doesn't fully mirror. Hackett explained that Crawford leans on explosive counters and adaptability, but Floyd's brilliance came from flawless execution round after round. And while he respects everything Crawford has accomplished, Hackett insists that Mayweather's version of perfection against Canelo remains something truly unmatched.
The Floyd Mayweather that Canelo Alvarez fought.
Yeah.
And the last version of Terence Crawford that we've seen in the ring.
Yeah.
Who's the better fighter, Jay?
Of course you got to give it to Floyd. Floyd at that time, Ben, what's up? Floyd at that time versus Canelo was in total confidence. His skill set, his IQ, you know what I'm saying? Everything he do, he was just a complete fighter that night. But I feel like was up against a lot because he was fighting a guy that we knew something about, but we didn't know too much about. People don't understand how much a fighter could be thrown off by what he don't know. And the reason it throws you off is because you're actually learning about the fighter while you're in there. That's what Bud went up against that night. That's why he didn't look so great. To me, I could be wrong, but he didn't look so great to me because he was learning a lot about Madrimov while he was in there with Madrimov.
Max Kellerman broke down the contrast in how both fighters managed their careers. He explained that once Floyd moved past the lightweight division, his choices became highly selective, each opponent carefully calculated. Crawford, by contrast, has taken a different road, often stepping in against whoever was available without hesitation. That willingness has made Crawford seem more daring and risk-taking compared to Mayweather's strategic matchmaking. Kellerman emphasized this doesn't diminish Floyd's greatness, but instead highlights Crawford's drive to test himself across divisions and against truly dangerous opponents.
It's wild because, like, if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time. Yes. That makes a difference to people.
Crawford has boldly stated that if he ever faced a prime Floyd Mayweather, he believes he would win. He stressed that this isn't about disrespect, but confidence in his own abilities. While he admires Mayweather's unmatched skill set, Crawford points to his own versatility, power, and switch-hitting style as the tools that would give him the edge. For him, it's not about diminishing Floyd's legacy, but about embracing the competitive spirit that defines true greatness in boxing.
Well, also if we remember, Canelo that time was a razor-thin decision. Floyd won, majority decision. C.J. Ross had it with what a lot of people had as a draw. And then the other two judges scored it for Floyd, of course. And that was a Floyd at the top of his game with a very green Canelo with very little experience, and he still took him, into deep waters. So
what was Canelo? What, 20-something? 20 what? 23, 25?
Yeah, he was. Very, very young in the game, obviously.
Very young. He had more fights than Floyd, and he lost.
Yeah,
to a man that was 30-something years old, 36.
But Floyd was clearly at the top of his career, and Canelo had fought a lot of people. But
how you at the top of your career in your prime? You in your prime? You ain't in your prime when you're at 36. That's not your prime.
Did he lose?
20s.
I mean,
your prime is in your 20s.
It's different for different people.
Yeah, okay. Well, so, and that's why Canelo was saying what he's saying.
But
want to make himself look like he did something great.
Who wins in a fight, you or Prime Floyd? Me. No questions. Why would you think I'd say Floyd? He's one of my favorite fighters, but no. That was Crawford's unapologetic response when asked about a dream matchup with Mayweather. But Jeff Mayweather, Floyd's uncle, quickly added perspective. He reminded fans that when Floyd fought Canelo, he was already past his prime, older, slower, and not the same fighter who once dominated the lighter divisions. Yet, even then, Floyd schooled Canelo with experience and timing. Jeff argues that this context often gets overlooked when comparing Crawford's victory over Canelo to Floyd's. In his view, direct comparisons are complicated because Floyd was fading while Crawford is still near his peak.
30,482 people showed up for this fight. But the biggest props of the night goes to Terence Crawford, who did not disappoint. He was supposed to be the smaller man. He was supposed to be the weaker man. He was supposed to be the man that was going to spend the entire night on his bicycle, running for his damn life because Saul Canelo Alvarez was coming his way. That is not what happened. What happened instead, ladies and gentlemen, was a masterclass in boxing by Terence Crawford. Now, to me, the fight, some people were saying it was a severely lopsided and stuff like that. I'm not going for that. I'm not feeling that at all. It wasn't like that at all, okay? I had the fight 5-4 in favor of Terence Crawford after 9 rounds. It could have gone either way. And then he basically put on a boxing clinic over the last 3 rounds of the fight. And one rounds 10, 11, and 12. He used his jab. He kept his distance. He exchanged when necessary, which is something that I was scared to death of him doing. But he wasn't scared at all. Okay?
Stephen A. Smith gave his perspective on Crawford's victory over Canelo, calling it one of the most entertaining performances in recent memory. He praised how Crawford, despite being seen as the smaller and weaker man, completely outclassed a much larger opponent. For Stephen A., this wasn't just about skill. It was about delivering a true spectacle for the fans. He stressed that boxing needs fighters like Crawford, who combine brilliance with excitement, making every bout unforgettable.
Terence Crawford versus Floyd Mayweather Jr. Who wins this fight? I'm going with Terence Crawford, and I don't think that's unpopular or crazy to say. I think most people will agree with me. I understand Floyd Mayweather has a lot of fans out there, but the truth is, as great as Floyd Mayweather is, Terence Crawford is one of one. And I say that because who else has knockout power in both hands, is able to switch stances between orthodox and southpaw so seamlessly while having great footwork? It's not like Terence Crawford is some stationary target or a flat-footed fighter that's going to be chasing Floyd around. Terence Crawford knows how to cut the ring off. He has tremendous ring IQ. And not only is he a great boxer, but he's a great fighter. He'll be able to make it dirty. If he is on the inside with Floyd, that power will carry him far. And I just don't see how Floyd will be able to beat a Terence Crawford. I really don't see it. I understand Floyd's defense is incredible, but he is smaller than Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford would have a significant reach advantage on Floyd Mayweather. I believe Terence Crawford would also be taller than Floyd Mayweather, as well as all the skillful and technical aspects of what I just laid out prior. So I don't understand how anybody could pick Floyd Mayweather to beat Terence Crawford. Styles make fights, and I believe Terence has the style to beat one Floyd Mayweather. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Whether you agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. Join the discussion, subscribe for more, and leave a like if you enjoyed the time spent. Thank you. You are all appreciated.
Another boxing analyst admitted that Floyd Mayweather holds the bigger global fan base, built on his flawless record and pay-per-view dominance. But when the conversation shifts to pure talent, he argued that Terence Crawford might actually edge ahead, a natural southpaw able to glide between stances with ease. Crawford's style feels unsolvable, full of angles and unpredictability. His timing, precision, and unshakable calm let him take control of fights in ways that echo Mayweather, yet always carry his own distinct signature.
You guys say it with me. Terence Crawford isn't Mayweather. I need you guys to sit here, grab somebody close to you, hold their hand, sit down, say it with me. Terence Crawford is not Floyd Mayweather. They're just both black. That's the only similarities they have. They both black. Terence Crawford loves being hit. The guy likes to scrap. He likes to brawl. Terence Crawford isn't even an Alexander Usyk. This guy loves being hit. He gets a thrill out of it. He sticks his tongue at his opponents when he is hit. Look at that. He enjoys that stuff. He tends to fight with low hands at times. He tends to exchange and brawl in the pocket, plant and fire, despite him having really great feet. Sometimes he likes to sit there and fire. You have Terence Crawford being Canelo, that's fine. I get you. But don't bring up Floyd Mayweather. No similarities. Floyd was way quicker, way sharper, better defensively, better reflexes, better timing, better IQ, better damn near everything. So say it with me one more time before we go. Terence Crawford, we said it, is not Floyd Mayweather. There we go.
Many in the boxing world remain doubtful of the constant comparisons between Floyd Mayweather and Terence Crawford. They insist Mayweather's dominance was one of a kind, impossible to duplicate no matter how much success Crawford achieves. For them, Floyd's defensive brilliance, unmatched ring IQ, and surgical control of every fight place him on a level no one has truly mirrored. At the same time, critics argue Crawford's rise leans more on hype than pure reality, with fans eager to crown him as Floyd's heir. They note the two men built legacies in completely different ways. Mayweather relied on defensive mastery and sharp business instincts, while Crawford thrives on switching stances, aggression, and risk. For these observers, the comparisons ignore those contrasts, driven more by fan excitement than genuine likeness, making the debate feel largely exaggerated.
Terence Bud Crawford defeats Canelo Alvarez and becomes the first ever male 3-division undisputed champion in boxing history. Thank God the judges got this one right. But wow, what a technical battle this was. It was a very close fight, but as it went on, Terence was getting more and more comfortable in there. I remember in the 7th round, he even stood right in front of Canelo and fought him on the inside. Then in rounds 9 through 12, Crawford really started to open up on his flurries, gaining Canelo's respect. But the reason Crawford won this fight was because he was surprisingly durable at 168. He was able to do his thing because for the 36 minutes he was in there with Canelo, he was never really worried about what was coming back at him. I mean, Canelo just kept going to Terence's right side of his body, and that stung a couple times, but those were the really only hard shots Canelo landed. Unfortunately, this is terrible for Canelo's legacy because the smaller men beat him up, and Canelo's kind of been cherry-picking his opponents the last couple years. But well-deserved for Terence Crawford. It's going to look amazing on his legacy. Boxing got it right tonight. On the biggest stage, with the most eyeballs, no controversy, just pure sport. And one of the best ever at the sport got it done tonight, Terence Bud Crawford.
One achievement that truly separates Crawford is his groundbreaking feat of becoming the first fighter ever to claim undisputed status in 3 different weight divisions. It's a milestone that proves not just his versatility, but also his staying power across the toughest weight classes. Unlike Floyd, who never fully unified at welterweight or super welterweight, Crawford has stacked up championships in a way no one else has ever managed. That singular accomplishment secures his place in boxing history and gives his legacy a flavor completely different from Mayweather's.
Everybody was saying, the people that ran with that narrative convinced me that that was a narrative because I don't know the world as much. The thought of not having to lose weight is probably a happier, was it how was camp? Good camp?
It was great. You know, it wasn't a camp that we was focused on weight, you know, so we could just focus on my craft and focus on, you know, getting stronger, which we was already strong, you know, but, you know, we don't know what we up against. So, you know, we definitely want to make sure our body is prepared for whatever onslaught Canelo brings. So, of course, you know, we going to, you know, cross our I's and dot our T's. And, you know, that's what we did in training.
You looked unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
You looked absolutely unbelievable. Not that you ever don't, but it's just like, God, this guy looks like he is very prepared. And then as the fight continued, it felt that way. Turkey Al Sheikh deemed you the fighter of the century. And obviously Ring Magazine and TKO come together to put this incredible event together. What has it been like, you know, with the modern world of boxing now? that Riyadh season has gotten involved, and obviously Dana and Nick Khan of the WWE, and it feels like anything is possible in the boxing world now. Is that the big takeaway that we should think after you and Canelo fight and have the success, or how do you kind of view it all?
Yeah, for sure. Anything is definitely possible. And a lot of people kept saying that what I was trying to accomplish.
After defeating Canelo, Crawford opened up about just how seriously he approached the preparation for that moment. He revealed that his entire training camp was dedicated to building strength and molding his body to handle the test of stepping up to 168 pounds. Crawford emphasized that the victory wasn't luck, but the product of careful planning, relentless discipline, and belief in the work he put in. His reflection makes it clear how committed he is to making every fight count, showing why this era truly belongs to him. That's it for today's video. Stay tuned